Thanks for inviting us. I think it was a very interesting open source festival, and I think on the upcoming year is going to be very interesting for this particular state. I think you're going to see and hear a lot about Vista system, and also in New York State as an example for the rest of the state in USA. So my name is Fabian Lopez. I work with DSS. I'm in project manager, but also as part of the open source community development and director of international implementations. And then we have Diane Clark, as he mentioned before. If you have any question about the system Vista from the VA and the open source effort, she's the right person to ask. She has many years already working on the system, trying to do that movement from inside the VA to outside the VA. So she has a lot of experience about the different challenges that we have. And then Alan, coming for many years in the VA and now is part of our team. They're local, so I hope we're going to see them very often in different events.
Very newly local.
Yeah.
This week.
Well, yes. So, our goal as a company is to work with EHR solutions and based on the Vista system developed by the Department of Veteran Affairs. We're going to learn more about that later. And we have more than 20 years. We are almost 400 employees right now at the moment. We are hiring people. And our main focus was the VA. We developed components for the Department of Veteran Affairs, components that work with the system Vista. But we also launched the Vista Extension Hub. It's kind of the app store, but it's more informational hub about extensions that work with the Vista system. And we are producing webinars, training webinars. So you can find a lot of information in more than 100 webinars. We have posted free webinars about MAMS, about Fireman, Vista, EHR in general, and how to use the system. So the idea today, Alan is going to talk about the Vista system. Diane is going to explain more about VX Vista and the difference between the open source and the proprietary module. And I will explain a little bit more about the Vista Extension Hub. And then we added a section because of the type of Vista event to show the type of resources that we engage and we need to engage in a kind of implementation like an open source electronic health record. It's not just developer. You're going to see there's a lot of different roles in an implementation that probably would take like 5 years. So, Alan.
Well, I don't have to redesign, but I have been working with Vista since 1984, and it's all public domain software. So there is no proprietary nature to this at all. It's not Apache 2 or anything else like that. It is public domain software. Vista has been acknowledged to be the most widely used EHR in the United States and has allowed the VA to increase its patient population by 60% without adding personnel. Now, I want to tell you a lot more about Vista than that. Vista came, and when it came in, changed the face of the VA. The VA was a struggling clinical entity. We are not. Now, everything I say has only to do with VHA, which is one of the 3 or 4 projects or programs in the VA. VHA is the Veterans Health Administration. I'm not talking about the benefits side. That's VBA, which has incredible problems. I'm not talking about the cemeteries, which has their own, lately some of their own problems. I'm talking about the 163 hospitals, 135 nursing homes, and 180,000 healthcare professionals. Now, I want to push you to the book. It says, best care anywhere. That's the VA. Now, if you don't think that's true, we have the metrics to prove it. We have the waiting metrics. We have the medical error metrics. We have the JCHO metrics, the Joint Commission metrics. We have CARF metrics for rehab facilities, best care anywhere. What changed that was the use of being able to measure what we do in the VA, have the government's governance to look at it. We have clear metrics about how long it takes to get an appointment. We have clear metrics about medication errors. We have clear metrics about how many diabetic foot exams for our diabetic patients, who gets them and who doesn't. Clinical reminders. We have the best care anywhere. And that comes from, not necessarily because Vista is MUMS, or not necessarily because it has a gooey oval face, but what's different about Vista is this onion skin drawing. It is that it is one system. We do not have a laboratory system. We do not have a pharmacy system. We do not have a radiology system. We have one system. And that system is based on an integrated database. It turns out to be MUMS, but it's all the same database. Now, VA started out with 160-some databases. Each hospital had one. We're changing that now to be more regionalized. There are now corporate data warehouses for all the data coming in that is not MUMS. But you can see that what we have here is the onion skin, from the hardware to the operating systems to, notice the MUMS virtual machine. Little joke in there with portability and magic. As in, it's portable because MUMS is based on an ANSI standard system. MUMS is MUMS is MUMS, and you can know standard MUMS, and you know it. MUMS happens to be both the language and the database. It's a B-structured, B-tree structured database, and the metrics of the database are very fast. Luis can tell you more about that than I can, but MUMS people will push you toward, versus the SQL stuff, and they'll be happy to show you how fast it is. Most banking transactions in the United States, I think most banking transactions in the United States, run on MUMS. And you know how sensitive that is. We do not kill patients, so it's all standard and sensitive and safe. And you can see it goes out from there. Now, at the level a little higher than that, can you put the structure one more over there? There's the infrastructure, which uses HL7 and a broker between the GUI interface, which GUI in this sense happens to be Delphi code. It really doesn't matter, but there's an RPC broker. Oh, look at that, right there is where we're at. Doesn't really matter, but you see it's HL7. I just wrote a little project using an HL7 standard, and I had to use LOIN codes, RX norm codes, and ICD-9 codes. But it's there, it's all ready for standardization. So that's what makes the Vista, the onion diagram, so very interesting. Now I am out here in the highest level because I write mental health software. And the mental health software is all out here. But so is dietetics, and so is vitals, and so is lots of other things that add to a hospital database.
Thank you.
So you can see some of, wow. Some of the stuff is our VA products, when our means DSS. And these are products that, okay, mental health suite. This is the mental health treatment plan. Now the mental health treatment planner is something you license from DSS. It's not part of the standard VA code.
And that's kind of we were talking this morning how you can have a environment where you can have open source component like the core, and then you can have proprietary products running all together.
And yet, This is all proprietary code, but it talks to the central database. It's not its own database. It has no database files in it. They're all in what our database language is file now. So that's what makes it a VA acceptable product. It's all integrated into the deal. And we have some very good stuff. We have a great dental thing. It's like the dental record manager, okay? Emergency room mobile, all sorts of nice deal. Theratype. Remind me what Theratype is. I should know.
Infectious